warm welcome to another edition of To The Point. The winter session of Parliament has seen a united opposition confronting the Modi government over its demonetization drive. Not a single day's business has been transacted, and in the face of an adamant government and an insistent opposition, which way is the winter session heading to? Joining me now is veteran Trinamool Congress leader Derek O Brien. Welcome.
Good evening. You've called me veteran. I'm so disappointed. I'm a first-time MP. Anyway, carry on.
Derek, now, okay, jokes apart. Which way is the winter session actually heading to? Are we staring at another washout, like what we saw during UPA's rule?
See, I have no clue because I'm not in government. There are 2 points here. The responsibility of running Parliament squarely rests on the government. And the BJP have a record. So if they want to break their own record, you know, that's their call. Because in 2010, the 2G scam, and I think again in 2014, out of the 24-day winter session, they spent 22 days disrupting Parliament because they wanted something from Parliament. So they are the past masters in disrupting Parliament. So in fact, you have to ask Mr. Jaitley this question because Mr. Jaitley is a person I respect a lot in Parliament. But I remember his words in 2010 and then 2012. He said, disruption is part of parliamentary tactics. This is good for a democracy.
So does that give opposition the room to maybe replicate what BJP has done?
See, if you're asking about who takes Parliament seriously, obviously the opposition takes Parliament more seriously. I mean, look at the Prime Minister, what he's done. He has made a telecast to the nation on November the 8th. Now, after that, he's spoken about in Japan. He's made a spoof, almost a parody of this in Japan about the people suffering. Then he's spoken on his Modi Ki Baat, sorry, have they changed? It's now called Man Ki Baat on Sunday. So he's made he's spoken at the Constitution release, a book release. What has he said there? That he said nasty things about the opposition without any substance. So he's made 4, 5, 6, all these statements. So he needs to decide when he wants to come to Parliament and debate. So the opposition has one demand in Rajya Sabha and the opposition has a different kind of demand in Lok Sabha. But these are all parliamentary tactics and strategy. We're ready for a debate. So the BJP NDA cannot pass the buck. It's their government. They've got to run Parliament.
So are you hinting at the fact that BJP is not talking enough with the opposition leaders at the moment?
I think it's more than that. I think before this announcement was made, forget about opposition leaders. Is BJP, is Mr. Modi talking to his own cabinet before he announced this? Did everybody in the cabinet get taken by surprise? What about his members of parliament? They were taken by surprise. So please don't think this is only not about talking. You see, this is a one-man band. It's either my way or highway. So this won't do. This is a great democracy and this won't do. And my leader, Mamta Adi, took this up within 1.5 hours. But I'm not here to sit down and tell you, yes, she took it up. She took it up in 1.5 hours, very good. But now, after 15, 20 days, there are 15 opposition parties meeting every morning at 9:45.
But why is there an impression, despite the fact that all these opposition parties have to come together, they call for a bandh/protest. So all these things happened.
Good question.
But there is an impression that this opposition is all about noise, optics, and some kind of a deliberate disruption.
Absolutely not. Far away from noise. Now see what the opposition is united on. The opposition is united on cornering the Modi government. The opposition is united on showing up that the economic slowdown is beyond the opposition, that this is going to be a double dhakka. Because GST is good and we want GST, but the GST will have a dhakka, to the economy. And now you've got this. Okay, the opposition is absolutely united. In Parliament, completely united. Now on the 28th, different people had different ways to express themselves. So we express themselves. The BJP tried to twist it around. The opposition is united, otherwise we wouldn't be meeting at 9:45. And the opposition is also united in exposing this attitude of the... Let me make one point. The opposition is also united in exposing that, on one side, Modi ji and his party are all angels, full white angels. That's why they've asked the party MPs only from the 8th to the 30th to submit their bank accounts. What about the last 2 years? And the opposition is united also to expose that this was selective leakage, which has perhaps happened. Not perhaps, it has happened.
But Derek, my question to you is that the way Trinamool has come to the forefront, it looks that all of the parties have got decimated. For example, like Congress, it's Trinamool which is taking the lead.
This is not at all. I'll tell you, this is not true.
But there are reports. Allow me to speak. There are certain quarters, where their reports are emerging that there are vested interests of these parties also to project some kind of a front for the 2019 polls. Is it true? Would you agree with this?
I'm certainly going to answer your political question since you've asked me one. But there's economics, pain, suffering, and the torture of the common people. So I can answer your political question now. Right. This is not about some 2019 election. Hello, what election is Trinamool fighting? Serious election? We've just won a big election with 75% of the seats in Bengal. We are not fighting major elections in Punjab or UP. We don't have a major presence there. So this is a little different. Please don't mix up the politics and the pain of the people and the economics. Let's stick with the pain of the people. So it's a people's movement. Mamta Di has been saying this from before. This is not about an ego battle. Who's leading, who's not leading, not important. If Mamta Di can call up the CPIM General Secretary, knowing the track record of the hate these two parties have. But look at the basic issues. How can you announce this and you talk about plastic? 4 out of 5 villages in India don't have a bank. 95% of the people who use a debit card don't use it to transact business. They have it to withdraw money. And by the way, if you've announced this great cleanup of black money, I've got 2 questions. What have you done to stop the future generation of black money? You're now even rewarding people. Latest couple of days ago they announced you have a new scheme where you give 50%, 50% of your black money. We'll give you total immunity. After 4 years you'll collect. So what is this? The government is actually trying to convert black to reward black money. And the second point, what have you done for electoral reform? The BJP is giving us lectures on electoral reform. Please look at their books, their audited accounts. They have received 2,000 crores in the last couple of years from unknown sources. Don't lecture Trinamool Congress or any party.
Now today, the Prime Minister has asked his MPs and MLAs to declare all their bank transactions. Don't you think that has blunted the opposition's move? You don't think that way?
This is very nice, Look at the announcement. Now we're going to look at your books from the 8th of November to the 30th of November. Wow. Why? You've already washed your dirty linen. Already the clothes are back from the laundry. So now you won't find any stains because you gave 2.5 years of, now you look at the accounts for the last 2.5 years. See, these spins which the Honorable Prime Minister puts up, we can't take him too seriously anymore because he's now come up with his mobile app. I always say the mobile app gave him a 93% approval rating.
So how is opposition going
to counter all this? Were you disappointed with the approval rating?
No.
Were you disappointed? Can I ask you just one question?
No.
Were you disappointed with the mobile app rating? I was disappointed. I thought he should have got 100%.
No. What I'm saying is that...
You know why he should have got 100%? Because he set the paper, he wrote the questions, he corrected the answers, he announced the results. So he should have got 100%. And I was really scared that day when he came to Rajya Sabha because I thought, here's a student who's got 92%, hasn't got 100%. He may break down and cry or do whatever else.
Whatever figures you are telling me, despite all that, why is there a feeling and why are there reports coming that there is a certain kind of positivity on the ground? People are saying, abhi ke liye to theek hai, and in the long run, it'll be fine. So abhi ke liye thoda sa dard is okay. That's the general sentiment of the people. And even there was...
Tea workers, jute workers, unorganized labor, farmers. Unorganized labor is about 80% of GDP. Construction workers. Please go and talk to construction workers. They're leaving whichever metropolitan city. November, December, January, February are the most important months for construction. See what is happening. This is all very well saying we all have to go plastic. We all know. We don't need Nelankani to tell us, nor we need the government to tell us that plastic is very, very good. But it has to be inclusive.
Mamta ji also made a statement today saying that vote bandi You have to counter it with note bandi. You have to counter the note bandi with vote bandi. This is what the papers have reported. Now, is the issue really resonating the way the opposition wants? Is the opposition really able to convince the people of what they are saying?
I'll tell you.
If government is wrong, how is the opposition convincing the people?
On the 30th of November, 30th of November, 2 people got sworn into the Lok Sabha, new members of parliament, both from Bengal. One candidate, one new Lok Sabha MP, 30th of November 2016. One candidate from Trinamool won by 5 lakh votes. The other candidate from Trinamool won by 4 lakh votes. Now, I don't know whether that means this is resonating or people are very, very angry.
No, but if you talk about those elections, you can also equate with the elections with the results which have come today in Maharashtra and Gujarat.
Excellent.
With the civic polls.
I'll tell you about the Maharashtra
BJP
elections.
has swept.
The BJP have got wiped out in Maharashtra. Let me tell you. I'm glad you brought up Maharashtra. I'll prove to you today how they've got wiped out. There were 4 parties. You know, sometimes it's very nice when I let that information go, and now you've given me a full toss, which I want to hit for a 6. Okay. Now there are 4 parties who fought those Maharashtra polls. BJP on their own, Shiv Sena on their own, Congress on their own, and NCP on their own. I'm going to give you the numbers, but I have to ask you one question before that. Which 3 of these parties are opposed to demonetization? Obviously the Congress, the NCP, and the Shiv Sena. Now, if you take the number of BJP seats, it's 35 municipalities they've won. If you take Shiv Sena with 22, with 25, Congress with 22, that's 47, and 20, the NCP. So that's 65. So the score is 65 to some 50. So who has won? But they spun it beautifully. Spinning will not do.
As Mr. Prakash Javadekar has said, it's a referendum on demonetization.
Prakashji can say that. Prakashji can say that. He's from Maharashtra. I'm not. But what Prakashji hasn't told you, okay? What he hasn't told you is that you look at the 3 parties who fought elections who are opposed to demonetization. All these 3 parties fought the BJP singly, and they've got many more seats than the BJP QED. But these are the numbers which are not so important. I'll say if they won, okay. These numbers are more important. Now, GDP per day, hear me now, this is the crux of the argument. GDP per day is 45,000 crores. 80% of that is for domestic household consumption. So 80% say of that. This is 27,000 crores. Of that figure, there is a percentage of cash consumption. Okay, so from 45, the first part of us, 50% is for household. So that figure comes to about 24,000 crores a day. Now, if you multiply 25,000 crores only for 10 days, because I'm not even coming here, from the 10th to the 20th, those 10 days, that means the loss is 3 lakh crores. Now, my argument is, at quarter 1, you were plus 7. That's GDP growth I'm talking about. Quarter 2, you were again 7. Now, very shaky. By quarter 4, you will go down. So the figure which the former Prime Minister was talking about is a very conservative 2% of GDP, because what is not factored in there is the other pain which will come. You don't have currency notes. Now you've gone and done something so silly. Why did you print so many 2,000 rupee currency notes? Secrecy. If you wanted secrecy, you should have quietly printed 100 rupee currency notes. No one would have suspected you.
But my argument with you is that if the opposition is trying to put up a united front at this point of time, TMC, but TMC is wanting a rollback. The other parties are not.
Rollback? Who told you we want a rollback? Please understand, it is not an ego
battle. No, it's not an ego battle. But why does the opposition look like a confused lot? They don't know what they are demanding.
I will tell you. First, let me clarify. Trinamool is we are a non-obstructionist. We are not just obstruction and opposition for the sake of opposition. Let me clarify what is our current position. 1, we want to restore normalcy. Okay. Please, the government should restore normalcy. Right. Now, normalcy can be defined in many ways.
Right.
2, our strong recommendation for restoring normalcy is please make available the old 500 rupee currency along with the new 500 rupee notes. Both should be used parallel. 1,000 le liya, chalo le liya. 500 current and 500 old should be used together. And third recommendation is you make smaller denomination notes available. This is the basic thing.
But can you not make these policy proposals inside the House, maybe through a discussion, a constructive discussion?
Fantastic. This is the exact advice which you need to give to PMG, Pradhan Mantri ji. Did he discuss did he discuss with anyone?
No, now I'm saying.
No, now, listen.
What I'm
after
saying
you
is
shoot
that now,
the gun, patient is dead, and now you'll say, call the doctor.
Now I'm saying that the discussion had already started on the
Which
first
discussion?
day. On demonetization.
We are giving you some concrete suggestions. If you don't want to listen to our suggestions, firstly, this is also going to get into some legal tangle. I'm not even going to the legal part now. People are suffering. Daily workers, you're talking about opposition being not united. That's not the big issue. Please look at this government. Please look at the government. One, the finance minister says everything is 100% normal. Implementation and idea. Did he say this or not say this? Okay. Then another minister, I think it was Venkaiah, who says in 2 weeks it'll all be normal. Right? Number three, the Prime Minister says, give me 50 days. What is this? A picnic? That you'll ask for 50 days. People can't survive for 5 days. 5 days means the whole cycle will change. There will become sharks who are money lenders. It's not very simple. It's okay if a minister lives in Delhi and is buying his sabzi, his tomato, his laundry, everything is on plastic. Please understand, we are for progress, we are for technology, but you need to come to that level of technology to introduce these inclusive reforms.
But if you're talking about the pain and the suffering of the people, the real stories of pain and suffering, they are being seen in the villages and the remote areas where people do not have access to banks, they do not have access to ATMs. But why are we not seeing any opposition leader going to the villages and talking to the people and explaining them?
You obviously haven't been. You obviously haven't been to Bengal recently.
Most of the leaders, not particularly talking about TMC. I'm talking about other parties also. They're all lined up in Delhi.
Not true. Listen, this fight is a people's movement. It has to be fought at different levels. At one level, you fight this on the ground. Where you are in the villages and you understand the needs of the farmer, the daily laborer, the unorganized sector, the jute worker, the tea worker. You understand all this. That's at one level. At the second level, you come to implementation, suburban and urban implementation. Okay? And the third level, of course, you have to fight this in parliament. Then you will say all Lok Sabha MPs should be in their constituency. And then what will happen? They'll keep passing this IT bill like they did. What is this? We're not going to give a walkover. The IT bill was passed. Unbelievable. Let me tell you, we've written to the President of India and we want all parties to write to the President of India. What is this? You take away the members' rights of even moving and, it's okay if the Prime Minister Modi ji takes away the rights of all the BJP ministers or all his party members. But he can't suck away the rights of the rest of us. This is an unprecedented getting together of people. And when you get together with people, of course, there are, for example, some parties who want a JPC, a joint parliamentary committee. We, Trinamool, we feel that no, the JPC is not the solution, right? So we're all together, but we have different views, and you will see in the next 1 or 2 days, if the Prime Minister starts making more of these obnoxious statements, the glue is getting stronger. We are sitting every morning we are sitting with 14, 15 political parties. And please understand, what this will bear in election 3 months, 4 months is not Mamta Di's focus. First now is...
But what about other parties?
No, I'm not the spokesperson for other parties, and I don't think we should... See, if politicians...
but when you say that united opposition is united...
If people in public life... Who is going to raise the power?
But Trinamool is becoming the new face of the opposition.
No. Trinamool
Once upon a time, Congress was like this. But Trinamool is the new face of the opposition.
This is not a contest. This is not a contest about who is the new face of the opposition. One thing I've learned from Mamta Di, many things, but one of the things I've learned from her is humility. Let people judge you by your work. So you don't have to be the cock crows. We are great. No. We've done our bit. When we marched to Rashtrapati Bhavan,
But
There
how
were
would you
four
counter
parties.
reports of political opportunism like Mamta Didi calling the left, then many other friends becoming foes,
You're
foes
right.
becoming
You're
friends?
right. You're right. If
How
people,
would you
if
see
people are
that?
dying, if people are dying, and you're trying to reduce the number of deaths, and that is political opportunism, yes, we're indulging in political opportunism. If you're fighting for the workers of the jute mills, the unorganized sector, the farmers, the laborers, the construction workers, if you're fighting for their rights, if people want to call it political opportunism, yes, it is political opportunism. If people think that a whole country cannot just be left out, totally excluded from the growth cycle, if that is political opportunism, yes, we are indulging in political opportunism. What is political opportunism?
So now that Prime Minister has made it very clear, he's very firm on his decision. We don't see any kind of a going back on his decision. So are we going to see many more acrimonious days between the opposition and the government?
See, acrimony may not be the right word, but I must give you a perspective.
Or maybe, let me change my word, a fierce battle again. A battle of ideas, battle
I'll
of
tell
egos.
you how, see, this is not about winning one battle and the fourth battle. This is about a war. And it's a war being fought on this dictatorial prime minister on behalf of the people. So it's not about one or two battles.
But
it's about winning.
When you are
the
fighting
war.
a war, you always form alignments. You
Yes, they're
you
all
form
there.
political formations,
You please
formulations.
wait. You please wait. I think the bigger, everyone has to have a focus in mind.
Like in your own state of West Bengal, there were reports that there were huge cash deposits before the demonetization was announced. In West Bengal, BJP units were very active during that time.
BJP, I'm going to answer that with numbers. I'm going to answer this with numbers.
But very quickly.
Okay, I'm going to answer this with numbers. Now, the BJP they have a plantation industry, which they run out of Delhi. This plantation industry of the BJP is where they plant stories. So that's why I call it plantation. This Jan Dhan account is central, from the center. If they want to find out more details about the Jan Dhan accounts, who runs the Jan Dhan account? Not the West Bengal government. It's run by the center. However, I'm glad you asked me this question, and I'm going to go back to the old habit of using a card. National growth on Jan Dhan is 60%. Okay, total growth. Karnataka 112, Gujarat 111, Rajasthan has grown 73. In the last 1 month, I hope somebody from the BJP is watching this answer, the growth in Bengal Jan Dhan account has been 40%. Now, I don't even know why it's been 40% and not 80%. So, these spins don't work. And by the way, even before demonetization on the 8th of November, Bengal had number 2. We have a large rural population. And over and above all this, BJP need to find out. They can do an inquiry and find out through the RBI and the center. So don't throw muck. Whenever you throw mud at Mamta Di, it always doesn't work. It always doesn't work. I think the bigger picture here, this is not about ego.
I was talking to a BJP leader whom I'm not going to name. He said that these kind of reforms which the BJP government is taking and, the Prime Minister is taking upon these reforms, it's not palatable to the opposition parties, and they think that Modi will become the tallest leader of the post-independence era, and they will not allow that to happen, and that's why they are so rattled. Would you agree?
We've heard all this, yaar. Please understand, we've heard all this. Modi ji has come to Bengal and campaigned in 2014. What did they get? Some lollipops. So please listen. Trinamool, what you see is what you get. Mahamudadi has taken this on in 2 hours' time. When we marched to Rashtrapati Bhavan, there were only three parties, if that, 4 parties who marched with us. Overall, now as we see, there's no ego at all. Across the opposition, there are 2 very, very clear things we agree on. There may be other differences. We agree on that the pain and the suffering and the torture of the people cannot be allowed to that has to be restored to normalcy and has to be stopped. We agree on this is going to be an economic disaster, and we also agree on what about electoral reforms. We are the first party which spoke about electoral reforms. We all agree.
You are agreeing on these points, but the biggest war which you have to fight is the war of perception at the moment, which the government seems to be walking away with. So how is the opposition really going to win the perception, the war of perception?
If you're talking about the war of perception in Lutyens, then I don't know what. And I tell you something. This is the great time now for everybody to join this movement, not only the political parties, even the corporates. should join this. They shouldn't be cowed down.
Venkaiah Naidu today has written a column saying that it's a beginning of a behavioral change which is needed for making a developing country into a developed country. We see some kind of a cultural revolution. He has pointed out at a hint like that. How would you comment?
I think you're reading Venkaiahji's column, so that's very, very good. You read columns of other political parties. You read my columns, why not? You read other political parties from the opposition.
I read Harsh Mandar's column as well.
You read all the other political parties. You read the economists who've written columns. You read all the international papers. You do all that. Read all the columns. I'm also saying to read. But more than reading these columns, you have to understand only one word, and then you will know better than all the columns. And that is the magic of Mamtadi.
The magic of Mamtadi.
I'll tell you what it is. It is Trinamool, because Trinamool means grassroots. That is not the paper column. That is the column, as in the pillar on which this great democracy of ours stands.
But you will have to do a lot of firefighting. You don't have easy days ahead. Okay, wish you all the best. Thanks for coming on to the program. So that's it on this episode of To The Point. See you next time with another personality. Goodbye and thanks for watching.